Welcome, one and all, to this week's edition of PSVG, the official podcast of PlaySomeVideoGames.com and the flagship show of the PSVG Podcast Network, the only podcast network that's on the final runnings list to be the location of Amazon's newest headquarters, if you didn't know. Fun fact. They're just going to move right in, right next door to the Nintendo Shack. In between the Nintendo Shack and the PlayStation Island, they're going to build the new headquarters there.
Did we give them tax breaks?
Of course we do. Everybody else is. Why not? You just come here and you pay no taxes ever. It's okay. You have all the money, but you don't have to pay taxes. It's okay.
It's just an emotional tax.
Yes, yeah. It's taxing. So if you couldn't tell, with me this week is the arbiter of board games, if you will.
Oh wow, that sounds fancy.
It does sound fancy. I don't know what that word even means, but it sounded fancy time. So Kyle is here with me. How are we doing, Kyle?
I'm excellent. How good to be here with you, sir.
Good. And also with us is a very entertaining gentleman, Nathan.
Hi. I'm not coughing right now, but I will be. Stay tuned.
If Nathan goes suddenly quiet, that's because he's dying just a little bit during this podcast. But he hasn't been on in so long that he's willing to die live on air. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you keep eyeing that video. You never know when Nathan might drop off.
If we haven't learned anything, it's that YouTube doesn't appreciate that. So we should make sure that doesn't happen on YouTube.
Yeah, well, it's not going to happen on YouTube. It's just going to be streamed on YouTube. It's okay.
Yes, the act didn't happen. Well, the act would be happening on. I don't know. We're going down a very, very dark road. So let's avoid this conversation altogether. So, as we do each and every week, we like to talk a little bit about what we've been up to, what we've been playing. So, Nathan, you've been gone the longest here. So, why don't you have the honors of going first, there, sir?
It has been about 2 months. That's crazy.
You've been busy doing something in the meantime, I think. So,
yeah. So since the last time I was on the actual PSVG show, I was actually on with the X1 Bros, the one Mr. Dave himself, and that was a good episode. I was in a suit, I was like, it's not going to be a little time before you guys see me again on this show. Mo did grab me once on a whim real quick in between here and then, but this is my first time back on the show. I think it's been like, about 100 shows since then.
Yes, we're on episode 118. So yes, the last time you were on was episode 18.
But yeah, it's been a really crazy last couple of months for me personally. Obviously, with the birth of my son, trying to figure out how to be a father. It's been a really crazy time in my life, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Though it's been really informative to the human experience as a whole. Like, I now have a lot more respect for what my parents went through. And it's eye-opening, like on a whole level that I didn't really even expect. And you think about things a lot differently. Your priorities have all shifted. And it's such a joy to watch him grow and just know that you can try to mold that mind into be the best person that you can, hope that he can be, and try to give him the tools to succeed in life. And that starts with changing diapers. And that starts with, giving the pacifier, holding him and trying to make him feel, comfortable enough that he can maybe just sleep a little bit. And you can sleep at the same time, hopefully. But yeah,
sure. That works.
Well, you're a pro at that. I mean, you've got all the experience, and I'll have to ask you questions, I'm sure, along the road. But like you guys, it has been a fantastic experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love the little guy. I have a ton of respect for my wife for what she went through for this whole process, because I was in the room and I watched it all happen. I was right there. But and she's, I mean, it's just amazing what the moms can do, and I don't have enough good words for that. But anyway, but on the gaming side, because this is Play Some Video Games, not What's Up. That should be our new show. What's up?
What's up? What's up?
What's up with you? So when I do get weird minutes to play games over the past few months, because I had December pretty much off of work to spend time with bonding. But when he was asleep and wasn't really doing much, I would sometimes sneak out and play some games. And I put a lot of time into Assassin's Creed Origins, a ton of time. That game is fantastic. I got all the achievements. Really looking forward to actually getting back into the DLC that just came out for it. I think it's called The Hidden Ones. So that's definitely on my list. But after I completed that, I said, you know what? I'm not done with open world games. I just put 100 and some hours in this game. Let's go back to a game I've already put 100 and some hours in, Witcher 3.
Yeah, that's a solid choice.
That makes sense, right? So I went back and it's been on my list to play for a long time is the Blood and Wine DLC. And with it being Xbox One X enhanced now, I really had that the reason to go back and play it and kind of see what they've done. And good Lord. By the way, the Xbox One X is a fantastic console. Looks so good. The quality, I'm just blown away every time I actually launch a game right now and play it. It visually stunning, all these games. But Blood and Wine specifically, for a game that came out a couple of years ago, this game it still looks stellar. It's the lighting, the motion, the effects, everything that they've done. The draw distances have increased, the loading times have decreased. It's just such a great improvement. It's a great enhancement to be able to play this game with the updated hardware. But the game itself has been great. This DLC, I've put more than 20 hours into just this ever since I've gone back into it so far. So that's something, right? I mean, that's DLC getting 20 hours. Some games don't even go that long. But sure. Anyway, and I've also been playing, with some friends, some PUBG, some of that here and there. I've gotten chicken dinners in all the scenarios, solos, duos, 3-man teams, 4-man teams. That's a game that can provide you with such a rush. Your hands literally shake. If you're like, I was wearing my Apple Watch and I look back at my pulse, my heart rate for specific times, and it's like you were doing an exercise right now. But
you know what helps with that? I think you need more potassium in your diet.
Oh, I have bananas everywhere. It's okay.
Like everywhere? That's weird.
Right now, I'm looking at banana on a wall. I paint bananas. So anyway, but PUBG has been really fun. Being able to, especially when you can get up in a group of 3 or 4 friends. Duos is really good too, but duos I've found have been kind of hard to get the chicken dinners again, because people I think are really finding their grooves and play styles in that. But such a great game. It's a finite amount of time that you're going to spend playing it per round. You can do maybe 2 or 3 rounds a night and call it a day, and you're pretty good. But yeah, so that's been great. I've put over 30 hours into that game already, and it's still in at early access. They've had 7, I think, major updates to this point. So it's been 4 million concurrent players, or not concurrent, but unique players have played PUBG on the Xbox alone. So that's really, really interesting. But yeah, another game that I played the beta for is Sea of Thieves. That was recently. I had a demo weekend going, and they made it a little bit longer, so I played a little bit more. That is another great game for when you have a group of friends to play with, and you just want to kind of go on, goof off, and do some missions, and call it a night, and just kind of be a pirate for a little bit. That's really fun. Looking forward to see what they do with that game in the final release. And even cooler is the fact that it's going to be on Game Pass, so you're going to have maybe an influx of players that wouldn't necessarily have checked it out. And maybe people in your friends list that weren't going to buy it, but maybe they have Game Pass and they'll check it out and play it with you. So that's pretty cool. I think that'll help games like that out and get the word out on it, so people can at least check it out. Something that they probably wouldn't have normally even given 2 thoughts. They might install and give it a go because they have Game Pass. Now, that's a really cool thing. I won't comment too much on that because it's already been discussed, but having Xbox exclusives on Game Pass day one. It's really cool. I go away for 2 months and like the world changes as far as games go. And
It does, yeah.
We get cardboard and everybody freaks out about cardboard on Nintendo, and we get day and date exclusives on Game Pass, and it's just like, what's next? I mean, flying cars? I mean, I'm waiting for them. No, there's a flamethrower. Elon Musk introduces a flamethrower that he's legitimately making and manufacturing, and he's sold out of them. But anyway,
did he really?
Yes, yes. So a lot of stuff has happened in the past couple months. It's crazy world we're living in. But in addition to those games, I have I completed finally, and I kind of put this off for a while, the Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale game, because I just wasn't feeling that one. But I do have to say, the last episode was satisfying. I don't think it's satisfying enough to save the whole series for me for that first season, but it was good. I enjoyed it. And I'm just glad that it's behind me. You know what I mean? But this could be coloring my opinion a little bit because I'm kind of a little bit down on that, just because I also played just before finishing Guardians, I played the 4th episode of the Batman game, the Telltale game, which is just fantastic. So good. So good. And it's just everything that you could want in a Batman and a Telltale game wrapped up in a nice little bow, and it's just really, really well done. Kind of comparing those two, Guardians and Batman, it's just, Guardians is just on this level down here, and Batman just, right up here at that top pinnacle, high octane performance level. So it's really, really a great story. If you guys haven't played it yet, I know, dear listeners, that Kevin and I do a recap, kind of a little book club. So we have discussed that all the episodes up until this point, and I think maybe at some point in the near future or near past, you may have the opportunity to listen to our thoughts on the 4th episode. Yes. So with that, Kevin, I hand it over to you.
Yeah, so as Nathan spoiled it, we play Batman. That review cast, if you will, should be out the day before you're hearing this, unless you're watching this live on the YouTubes. That should drop on Sunday. Other than that, still playing Overwatch, still loving that, figuring out who I can and cannot play with. And I actually talked a couple of coworkers at work into picking it up, so I played a couple rounds with them last night. And I think, and Kyle can probably speak to this a little bit because he's much more of an Overwatch expert than I am. My problem is, so I'm still figuring out the different characters and the nuances and what they do, and that's expected for anybody new. But I find myself getting caught up in this rage cycle where if I'm not doing good, I just get angry and I start selecting random people, and that has never worked out, not once for me. I'm like, it just makes me more angry because I'll die within a second.
That's probably not the best method for improvement, but hey, to each their own. Y'all are gonna learn, in your own way, in your own time.
Yeah, I mean, I can play decently with probably 4 different characters now, sometimes 5. So I'm figuring it out. I'm still loving it, still enjoying the heck out of it. I just had a really bad night with it last night where just nothing was working out at all, and it happens. I mean, there's a lot of people playing right now. The Overwatch League is definitely brought some attention back into Overwatch. So there's people that have been playing it for 2 years, and I'm just starting, so it's expected. It's fine. My next PlayStation endeavor was I finally decided to get around to playing Metal Gear Solid 5, and it's a weird game.
It's weird, but it's so good once you get into it. I haven't beaten it yet. I kind of fell off along the way because you get to a point where you're kind of doing a lot of the same stuff. Mm-hmm. But that's such a good game. It's like really well done mechanics. I love the sneaking. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes. I'm
excited now for you.
No, I'm with you. So the intro, and I knew only from hearing in other podcasts and other people have already played, like, you got to get through the prologue, the intro. It's not good. It's really weird. And I agree with that entirely. It was way too slow. And I understand for the storytelling purposes why it would slow. And I'm not going to spoil it because I know a lot of people have it now because of PlayStation Plus, even though I bought the game like a year ahead of time and never played it.
Pass. It's also on Game Pass.
Okay.
So it came off Game Pass. It came off Game Pass today.
Oh.
It used to be on Game
Pass. So yeah, I won't give any storyline detail, but there's a reason why the intro is so slow. But it was bad and it was really weird. I'm like, where are they possibly going with this? Then you get into the real part of the game, and I played through, I think, the first 2 missions now, as of this morning, and it's good. I enjoy it. The sneaking around is fun. The way you can kind of have freedom to how you want to approach and attack each scenario is good. But I'm already seeing a little bit like how repetitive this is going to be, as Nathan said. So I'm a little concerned with that because I don't have much to hold on to. I haven't played a Metal Gear game since GameCube. So the Twin Snakes or Snake Eater, whatever it was, I don't even know what it was called. I think it was Twin Snakes. So I'm way out of the loop here, but it's just like, it's good, but it's really weird. And just, it seems like it's going to be really repetitive. So I hope it's not. I'm sticking it through. I'm trying to, is my New Year's resolution, trying to beat more games that I have. So I would feel really disappointed if I quit this one. So I'm sticking with it. It looks great. It runs great. It's weird and quirky. And it seems like some of the mechanics, it doesn't really do a good job of telling you how to do things. So I was running around for the first 2 days playing it. And, at the beginning of the game, you do a lot of travel via horseback. And I couldn't figure out how to make the horse go faster. So I was like, it literally made more sense for me to get off my horse and run. And I get to places quicker than I would be on horseback. But today, all of a sudden, it just worked and the horse is faster. So I don't know what's going on, but it's fine. It's just really weird. And then lastly, by the time this releases in podcast form, I would have played a lot of Night in the Woods, and I'm sure it's great. So I did download it today, and while we're recording, I played about 10 minutes of it while waiting for Nathan to jump on to do our Batman review cast. So very, very early on, but it's definitely right off the bat. It's my kind of game, whereas Donnie would say hashtag Kevin game. That's the new thing. So it's right up my alley, but it looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. So that's enough for me. Kyle, sir, how about you? You've been patiently waiting.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been playing a lot, so I'll just rapid fire through this stuff. On PlayStation, I mean, it's right now it's kind of become like my multiplayer gaming console of choice. I played still playing a ton of Overwatch. I've also dipped my toes into Paladins. Okay. Some of my friends wanted to give that a whirl, so I dipped in there. Yeah, it's a lot like Overwatch, but way less smooth. It doesn't feel anywhere near as good, but it is cool. They are doing some really unique and interesting things over there, but you can definitely see the influences that they have going on there. So dips my toes in there, and it's fun. For a free-to-play game, it's a good time. They kind of follow the League of Legends model of like there's a certain number of heroes that are available for you to use, and additional heroes you need to purchase. So I'm pretty limited in my hero pool because I haven't put any money into it yet. But for a free-to-play game, I think it's definitely worth a check out, especially if you've been thinking about Overwatch or you like Overwatch and just want something a little bit different. Definitely worth a check out there. Also been playing some Fortnite. I know people really, really enjoy Fortnite. I think it's fine. I think the shooting still feels funny in it. I just can't get over how the shooting feels in that game. And I know that maybe it's just because I'm bad at it that I say that I don't like the way the shooting feels. That's very possible. But not a huge fan. I'll play it, though, with friends if friends want to play it. But so dip it in there a little bit. When I last was on, I had mentioned how I had become a member of the Xbox Empire. And I got myself an Xbox One S for the holidays. So I have taken this time to go back and play through some of those Xbox exclusives that I never had a chance to. And in the month of January, I finished Sunset Overdrive, Gears of War 4, and Rise Son of Rome.
Good start. Good start.
Yeah, you know what?
Fun fact, I've only beaten one of those games.
Oh, really? Well, hey, there we go then. I feel even better about it. And I'm pretty they're all good. Like they're just good. They're good games. Like I don't want to necessarily go into a ton to each one of them. I just definitely recommend, if you have the option of checking those out, to do it. Especially, I will say I was very surprised by Rise Son of Rome. A release title that I feel like got a lot of I don't want to say hate, but it wasn't looked upon super favorably. So I had, pretty low expectations going in. I had a good time with that game. I thought the story was pretty interesting. It's a beautiful game. I really like
visually looks good.
Yeah, still for today it looks great still. I really enjoyed the combat overall. Like I have a few nitpicks about it, but overall I was really impressed with that game. So it was solid. So I'm enjoying my time with my Xbox. Like I said, it's really for me been going in for the most part and catching up on those games of past that I've not had an opportunity. And I actually just started Recore and have Halo 5 as well downloaded. So I'll be playing that as well. So that's kind of where I'm at there. And then on my Switch, right now my Switch is basically a death machine because I'm playing Celeste and I just keep dying. So I clearly, in my old age, I'm getting worse at games. I'm dying a lot in Celeste. I'm enjoying it. It's a fun game. I like the soundtrack. The art direction is cool. It's a good time and fun to play. The respawns are very, very quick. But yeah, man, it's a tough game. But overall, really enjoying it. Definitely recommend it if you like those tough platformers, if you like Super Meat Boy and things like that. I think definitely giving Celeste a shot is worth it. Because like I said, even though I'm not doing super great at it, I am really enjoying it. So that's kind of just, a brief rough shot over everything I've been playing lately.
That's it. You've been busy, that's for sure. So I'll give you.
I'm trying. I mean, I did finish 9 games like someone did, but
well, yeah. Yeah. I that was a fluke. That is not going to continue happening. My 9 games a month streak. That especially not when I'm tackling Metal Gear Solid. So that won't happen at all. All right. So you've heard enough from us. So let's check in with what you guys have to say. It is time to check out the messages. So our first question comes this week from
Can I just
James.
say that's one of my favorite bumpers.
I love that one.
I mean, it's the Uncharted theme. It's fantastic. I love the horns. Sorry, my bad. I gotta shout it out because I haven't talked for so long with you guys, and when I'm listening to it every time, I'm like, that bumper is just my jam. I love that bumper.
I wonder who came up with that bumper.
I couldn't tell you.
It's very entertaining. So, our first question comes in from James this week. Favorite pizza toppings? Let's go with Kyle first.
Wait, is this? So this is toppings. I thought it said topping. So I was like, I have to pick one.
No, toppings. It's plural.
Okay, there are a lot of pizzas that I really enjoy. Like a lot of like the super unique, weird combinations that are people like that's not like buffalo chicken pizza and all that stuff. Like I love all of those things, but there's this one particular pizza place in town that I love, but the wife does not really dig. So whenever she is gone, I always get pizza from that place. Like she knows it. She like knows that she's like, hey, you're getting OP pizza tonight, aren't you? I'm like, yes, I am. And I think this tells me what my favorite is because every time I get pizza from there, I just get sausage and pepperoni.
Really?
Like, yeah, there's something about that's just like the classic to me. And when I really want to just like judge a pizza on like, am I going to enjoy all of the other crazy things they have? I like to just start with the old classic pepperoni and sausage and call that good. So I feel like that's got to be my favorite, right?
I would say so. It's your go-to.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, I'm also a little simple here. So my favorites are either just a pepperoni and cheese, or sometimes I just like me an extra cheese pizza and just get that gooey cheese. But I will say, ironically enough, tonight we made homemade pizzas for dinner. So what we do in my house, we get like the naan bread and we make, personal pizzas off of those. Like everyone gets their own thing and can do their own, like my dog, even the baby, the 2-year-old today was doing her own pizza. So that was fun. But I did a combination today that was amazing. Chorizo, bacon, salami, pepperoni, and cheese.
Dang, son.
Yeah, it was like a spicy meat lover's pizza. It was so good. So that might be my new favorite, although I'd never be able to order that from somewhere. But homemade wise, it was amazing. So no complaints there. Nathan, do you have something a little more exciting as your favorite pizza toppings? Because we were a little dull with ours.
So let me tell you a story real quick. At work, I always get a lot of flack these days when I bring in lunch for the team because a long time ago, I'm some people call me a foodie, okay, and you don't necessarily want foodies buying group food for people because you try things that are different, like a margarita pizza or pizza with artichoke on it or things like this. And people get it and they're like, what is this? And they don't eat it at all.
Yep.
Especially when you live in the Midwest.
This is true. So I have, every time I say I'm ordering in lunch for the team or whatever, they're always just like, are you doing pizza again? I'm like, you know what? I'm by committee these days. I'm like, this is what we're getting. Anybody have any problems? I give them like 10 minutes to tell me yes or no, and then we just order it, right? So it's usually the typical is like your cheeses and your pizza or your cheese and your whatever basic toppings. But I love if you get a really good I'm gonna go through like 3 different kinds of pizzas that I really like. Like they're different, a little bit different in each way. I'm going to start with a classic one. There's a place here called Nick and Willie's in our area. It's a chain. There's a few of them around in the area. I don't know how wide they are. But they specialize in two things: take and bake, as well as they do bake there in the shop as well.
Okay.
So you can get like personal pizzas for lunch. You go there, you get a combo. It's like $8. You get a drink. You're good. You're happy. And they have this one there. And whenever I'm craving just like a good pizza, not Little Caesars, pizza that you think of as a traditional pizza, they have an old-fashioned Italian pizza. It's really good. It's got tomato sauce, mozzarella cheese, garlic, beef. It comes with diced tomatoes, which I sub that out for mushrooms, red onions, black olives, feta cheese, and oregano. It's perfect. It is the quintessential Italian pizza, right? When you think of it with the toppings and everything, that's what I think of. And I love the flavor, the combinations, and everything. So good. But that being said, there are also other really good pizzas that I like that are maybe less mainstream, but they're gaining more popularity. I think one is a barbecue chicken pizza.
Yeah,
you get that with a hand or thicker crust, just like the doughiness of the crust with that chew, with the sweetness of the barbecue, with that chicken, just really good. And they have usually a red onion with it that gives it a little pop, that little bit more of a flavor to it. So good. I don't always get those because I don't know, it doesn't always sound good to me necessarily, but it has a really great flavor. Like if you're in the mood for a barbecue pizza, there's nothing better than one of those. There's a lot of places here that do it and that do it really well, so you can pretty much not go wrong in my area for that kind of pizza. The other thing, which is really good, that I also like is there's another place where I used to live called Gio's, and they had this white garlic chicken pizza, which is just this really good. They don't use the red sauce; they use the white garlic. They use a cheese mixture that's a little bit different than their typical. Obviously, some crushed minced garlic in there. That's just a little bit of a toast to it, and it's just the flavor and the combination. And if you get it on the thin crust, it's best, I find, because it gives you that little bit of it just really focuses on the toppings, and it gives you that burst of flavor in your mouth. And really, I've been watching Food Network. I think I can tell a little bit now, but it's really good. So those are, when I think about pizzas, those are kind of my favorites, my go-tos. But there's times where I go for Outbacks or things like that have off the wall things. I like a Hawaiian pizza every now and then too, as long as it's fresh. Pineapple, it can't be canned. Canned pineapple is junk. You gotta have fresh pineapple. Really good Canadian bacon. It's a little bit thicker Canadian bacon. But long way to say pizza is good in all forms. Any topic is good.
So you ever wonder? I think we're all age appropriate for this one. When you were younger and you'd watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the cartoon, they ordered all those weird pizzas. At any point, did you ever sit there and go, I'd eat that?
They never ordered weird pizzas. I thought they were always pepperoni pizzas.
They got peanut butter and jelly and stuff.
Yeah,
really?
They had peanut butter and gummy bears and all stuff. Yeah, it was always weird stuff. But so it's funny you say Food Network. So this is another side pizza topic, I guess. So we were at work. This was last week. We were debating stuff, and the executive vice president of our department is a major coffee fanatic. His assistant walks by where I sit every day with what can be described as a vat of coffee every single day. And she walks by me at least once a day, sometimes twice a day, with this giant vat. So, we make fun of him for drinking as much coffee as he does, but he's also a lover of pizza. So we're like, well, imagine the day something happens and he finds a way to combine the two. And so that sparked a debate of how would you ever combine coffee with pizza and make that work out? So
you can put coffee in the sauce.
So funny you should say that, Nathan. So you mentioned Food Network. So I text Justin Warner and was like, hey man, if anybody would know, it would be you. Can you combine the two? And he said, absolutely. He gave me 3 examples and I want to try them. Number one was using instant coffee granules in the crust to give it a coffee crust. The second one was exactly what you said, Nathan, but it's using an espresso in the sauce, in the tomato sauce itself would be good. And they said, or you could take a different approach and make a bacon, egg, and cheese pizza and just have a cup of coffee to go with that. But, Yeah, so all intriguing, and I really want to try it now. So I gotta fight. I gotta get with him and figure out exactly how you would fuse the espresso in the sauce and make it work. So I'll report back later when we figure it out. Yeah.
Espresso. There's no X.
Whatever.
Espresso. Come on, you're gonna make Justin mad. You gotta say it properly.
He doesn't. He likes cold brew,
but he still knows how to pronounce espresso
and pour over. So,
you know,
I had a nice meal today. You know, have you ever had a meow latte?
Did you say meow?
Meow.
I'm having a cup of coffee right now.
I don't know. We were talking about coffee, and I got excited. And I remember today I went and I got a coffee just at lunchtime to get out of the office and just kind of sit and just get out of it. And I went to this great little coffee shop called 3030. It's in Peoria.
Shout out.
And shout out, brought to you by 3030 Coffee. But I went there, had my meal, was sipping on it, and they started playing Lord of the Rings music while I was there. There was no music playing, and I sat down, got my coffee, started drinking, and they just started, and I was like, this is heaven. This is a fantastic drink.
Sounds like an epic cup of coffee.
So epic. I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is no longer a normal meal. This is meal the white. It's just like
you start yelling at people when they walk by. You shall not pass
without getting espresso. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm excited to be here, you guys.
That's fine. Okay. That's fine. It's all good. So we do have, ironically enough, more food conversation. So our next question comes from Sam. This wasn't the words used, but we have to. We can't say the other words. We had to say the big game this weekend. What is our go-to food and snack options for the big game?
So stupid. It's so stupid how everybody can't say Super Bowl. We're saying it.
All right,
come sue me.
You know what happened between Flux the Pose and WWE, so we don't need a repeat of that over here.
I'm just talking about my toilet. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's the big game.
It's the Super Bowl. Sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
No, you go first. Go first. You're already going. So.
So my favorite snack for the big game.
Yeah, food. Go-to food and snack.
I love. There's two things that I really like just eating that are terrible for me. One is breadsticks.
Yes.
Getting really good breadsticks is just fantastic. With some nice little marinara sauce to dip it in or something. So that's a really good go-to. Another one, mozzarella sticks, same kind of thing with some good either garlic sauce or a marinara sauce on that too. Or even a creamy ranch. We can go a little wild with some creamy ranch.
You're getting crazy now.
I'm getting crazy. But, when I think of like party food or just kind of, I love good chicken wings.
Mm-hmm.
So what trumps everything else is if I see some nice little buffalo wings sitting over there, or if I see some any sort of wing, as long as it's a bone-in wing. I'm not talking about them chicken nuggets. I'm talking about a real chicken wing.
Chicken wang.
But yeah, some like a mild, hot, whatever. I love them. They're just so good. And with some carrots, just kind of maybe a little ranch.
Why do you go and ruin it with carrots?
I like the crunch. I like it for the crunch.
Yeah, okay.
I guess. You need to have a little bit of crunch with that just deliciousness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess if you have to. So for me, what we're doing, actually, I'll give you what our actual plans are, because the big game is a big deal over here where I am.
I'm taking notes. I need to take notes. Kevin's plans are.
Yes, my plans are. All right, we'll start with the snack selection. First off, there will be chips and a good French onion dip.
Ooh, hold on. Chips and French onion dip.
Yep, got that.
What do you mean by a good French onion dip?
Not the pre-made in a jar stuff. You have to.
Are we just talking like Lipton soup and sour cream? Okay,
that's the good.
It is
stuff.
Delicious. It's delicious. I'm just making sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, no, it's way better than getting like the Lay's one that comes in the jar. Like that one's always bad.
Yeah.
What, you don't like getting laid? Sorry, my bad.
So either we need to have him on way more often or just never again. Like, apparently those are the options.
It's my last time, everybody. Good to see you.
Make everybody hit Twitter, tweet at PSVG with hashtag Nathan yes or hashtag Nathan no. All right. So other options, we're doing tortilla chips and salsa because that's always a go-to at Super Bowl things. But as far as like food, sliders and barbecue like pulled chicken on the little Hawaiian rolls because those things are amazing. So we're doing that.
Savory right there.
Yep, exactly. And then my wife asked me last when we were discussing our options was if I could go ahead and make one of my few specialties that I had before this past year where I've been cooking a lot more was candied bacon. So I will be doing at least a pound of candied bacon for everybody that comes over as well too. So those are my literal plans. And I noticed Nathan stopped taking notes. I'm very disappointed in you, Nathan. You were writing all that down. You forgot.
No, I didn't forget. I took notes up here now.
Oh, so it's lost forever.
I can just send you a message on Discord. Like, hey, what was that again?
What was that again? I was distracted by my Lord of the Rings music, but anyway.
What kind of chips was it that you liked?
Kyle, save us, please.
So, I'm a big fan of, not just for the big game or the superb owl. I think that there's some cool things you can do. And one of my favorite things to do for any gathering like this is I'm a big fan of Mexican food in general. And I use the term Mexican loosely here, obviously. But I'm a big fan of, having chips with really good guac, homemade guac.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do a nice little, taco / fajita / taco salad, if you would, bar.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Where you have, I made some killer carne asada last week that I was really proud of. So have some of the carne asada on there. You can just have the ground beef for the people who are into, I live in the Midwest, so you got to have this ground beef. Some pulled chicken. You can even get I enjoy having maybe even some fish on there for some folks. I'm a fan of good fish taco.
Mm-hmm.
A multitude of some homemade different types of salsas. I also discovered a new pico recipe last week that went with those carne asada tacos. That was delicious. But yeah, you just kind of put all of that out, and that way people can either make some tacos, they can make a taco salad, and they can kind of pick and choose, and that way you can hopefully make everyone happy when you have a large group of folks coming. So I'm a big fan of doing a spread of something similar to that.
Kyle, have you put mango in your pico?
I have a specific mango salsa recipe that I use that is different than this one.
Because that would go probably really well with the, depending on what type of fish that you use.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you use a white fish, that would probably pair really well with that.
Absolutely.
I feel like this is the beginning of us coming up with some sort of cooking show on PSVG.
It's funny because on board with video games, Josh and I talk about how he's like, this isn't a cooking show, Kyle. I'm like, you're right. So back to board games. Here we go.
This is a weird trend we got going on, but all right, fair enough. So our last question comes from Lucas of the famous duo from Fluxtaposed, and he has a question I think that's right up Kyle's alley, and it might have actually even been asked on board with VG. I'm not sure, but if you could turn one video game into a board game, what would it be? And then to flip it, if you could turn one board game into a video game, what would that be? So, Kyle, I'll throw it to you first in this one because you're the expert, the subject matter expert here.
Yeah, so apparently if you want to turn a video game into a board game, the answer to that is Agents of Mayhem. That game is there is a Agents of Mayhem board game on Kickstarter right now that you can go check out if you want to. But there actually have been a number of video games that have made that jump. There's a Bloodborne game. There's obviously the Fallout game. Those games do exist. And I think you're going to probably see typically RPGs are going to be good fits for that because, the nature of computer RPGs came from Dungeons and Dragons, so you're going to see a lot of a good fit there. For me, though, if I'm going to pick, I'm going to do my other one first. If I'm going to pick a board game into a video game, the game I would pick is Mice and Mystics.
Oh, yes.
It's a dungeon crawling board game where you play as mice. And I think it'd be really cool that you could have, if you made that into an actual RPG where you're fighting all these bugs and things. And it's a very story driven game that has multiple chapters that you play through. So it's already really set up in a way that has that fits what you kind of see in a video game. And it has a lot of the systems that you'd fit there too. And it's a game that I really enjoy. And I think it's very charming. And the story behind the game is very cool as to why it was created. So I think for me, going from board game to video game, I would definitely go with Mice and Mystics. for video game into a board game, I don't have a really great answer for this because I think I play them for different reasons. So like, you know, I kind of like, yeah, I don't have a really great answer for this one, but maybe because I honestly didn't think about this at all before the show. But maybe if we go through the two of you, I will have something by the time you both are done.
Okay. That's fair enough. Nathan, are you prepared or do you need a couple minutes to think it through?
So my knowledge of board games is
Monopoly?
minimal, to say the least. But are we interpreting this to be solely board games, or does tabletop fit into this mix too?
I would say tabletop fits in. That's fair enough.
So there's and of course it's gonna go to Star Wars, but the X-Wing Miniatures game and the Star Wars Armada game are both tabletop games that are pretty cool. And I think that it would be nice to have the ability to kind of translate those into strategic games that you could play like on a console or whatever. So you could actually play them without having to have all the setup and everything because it takes a while to set up games and then tear them down and everything like that. Yeah. And be able to play with people who aren't necessarily in the same room with you, but you know, you can actually hop on and play with, and kind of have more interesting arenas and things like that happen. It'd be kind of cool to translate that into a game, into a video game, I should say, because it's kind of perfect for it. You know, it would fit. You could go so far as to, you know, say that you could almost combine Armada and X-Wing to kind of maybe create some sort of game within a game too. Would be kind of neat. So that'd be my board game to video game. For video game to board game, I'm gonna go Mario Kart. I think it'd be really cool to translate Mario Kart, like you're trying to go around this board, into like a Sorry or something like that kind of scenario where you're sabotaging other players and trying to get around the board first or whatever it is. Just turning that into that, I think it could work. I think it'd be interesting and neat. So there's my thoughts there.
That's pretty good. So my options will go with video game into board game first. The first thing that popped into my head was Fire Emblem, to do almost like Risk or Stratego type game with the Fire Emblem thing, because you have your mechanics of, you know, you and your opponent on the board. Certain characters can travel a certain amount of spaces and they have advantages over other kind. So I think that's kind of a gimme, if you will. Like there's already games in that method. So you just take the Fire Emblem brand and you kind of throw that on there. I think that would work pretty well. It would get me to probably play something like that. It might even get somebody like Donnie to pull a trigger and play a board game for once. So as far as turning board game into video game, so I'm picking one that I haven't played, but I've heard both you and Josh, Kyle, talk about it enough that I think this could work. And I'm going with Betrayal of the House on the Hill. Is that what it is?
Betrayal of the House on the Hill.
Okay. Yep. Because I think when I heard of that game the first time, I kind of read up on it. The first thing that came to mind was these old PC games I used to play. And neither of you may know these, but there was two games called The Seventh Guest and there was The 11th Hour. And they both took places inside these mansions, and it was kind of going from room to room, figuring out what was going. There's some puzzle aspects, stuff like that. I think you could take that type of game scenario and apply that into like an adventure-esque type game, not like Tomb Raider or Uncharted. I'm thinking like the old school adventure, the Sierra games that were back on the PC, like Riven and Myst and stuff like that, and kind of apply that type of thing to it there too. So yeah, that'd be my pick there. Did you come up with an idea, Kyle?
I did. I actually remember. I was like, when I was thinking about it, I was like, no, I did have an answer for this, and what was it? And it's actually not that different than yours. My actual answer is Transistor.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
I think Transistor made into a board game would be really cool. And I actually think Mechs vs. Minions, which is a game from the folks who made League of Legends, I think actually kind of has a template for the way that that game would work as a board game. So I think Transistor would be really cool. I think it's got a cool character, it's a cool world. You could make some sweet minis out of it. I think that would be really good. And Nathan, your idea is actually really solid because there are a number of racing games that exist already.
Yeah, yep.
So that is something that easily could transition into a board game. That is an excellent choice with Mario Kart.
Yay!
Yippee! All right, so Woo, that's it for the messages. So thank you to everybody who sent those in. Just a reminder, you can always tweet at us at PSVG with your questions, or if you prefer the old-fashioned email approach, you can send us a quick line at podcast@playsomvideogames.com, and we will address them in the next episode. So, gentlemen, I say it's time to move on, and let's dive into the news of the week. Nathan, you have first honor, sir.
I do want to say about this bumper. This is that news bumper.
Bumper talk with Play Some Video Games.
I need to do better. That one it served its purpose until now, but in 2018 we're gonna have to replace the news bumper. So shoot me at Voiced by Nathan ideas if you think you have an idea that we should implement. I'm open to suggestions. So just a bit of news. Now, I don't think this really shocked anybody. I mean, it didn't shock me.
No.
But it was announced, I think it was today, excuse me, that the Red Dead Redemption 2 has a release date.
Yay!
And it's just not spring 2018. It is fall 2018, which is fine. It's October 26th, which is 2 days after my 9th wedding anniversary. So if anybody wants to wedding present, because hey, I'm not buying games this year again, by the way. Completely different reason from last time. This is purely budget reasons. So but yeah, so it is coming out later in the year, and you know what, I'm completely fine with that. I am totally on board with delays. I think that delays give developers time to really understand, the game that they're putting out, the product. And, you look at a developer like Rockstar, whenever they put it out, it's going to be fine.
Yes.
They can take all the time that they want, and they'll be able to put out what they need to. They're not on these timelines like annual cycle games might be, or, more, I call it like second party type games that are like set to deadlines to meet specific goals. I just think that Red Dead 2, when it comes out, will be another fantastic game from Rockstar. It's probably going to be one of those Game of the Year contenders. Rockstar just has that caliber behind them, and anything that they touch turns to, maybe not gold, but just quality product. So while I don't think anyone's really surprised by this announcement, they apologize for the delay. But I think that it's one of those things where, I do think it's coming out this year. I don't think it's going to be pushed back farther than fall. But I think that when it comes out, they're going to have the polish on it. I think they're going to be focusing maybe on presenting the best product they can on like PlayStation 4 Pro and Xbox One X. And really, like, those are going to be the flagship games for this. Because you look at what they did with with GTA. And like visually, even on PS3 and Xbox 360, it looked great. Then they poured more time and development into it and brought it to the next gen consoles and increased what it did and what it looked like there. And now you play GTA on the X, and it's not officially enhanced, but it looks better for the draw distances and things like that, and the way that it is just natively able to be more powered. So I think that they'll maybe take that approach with focusing on enhancing with what they can do with the Pro and the X, and really develop a game plan around that. And that could be, part of the cause for the delay, is because you look at that trailer that they put out even last year at E3, and it looked visually like stunning. And I'm guaranteeing that they're going to come out with a visually stunning game again here, and it's going to be worth the wait. So if you're upset, don't be. There's going to be tons of games to play in the meantime, tons of games to catch up on in your backlog, I'm sure. And you're going to have maybe Xbox Game Pass and get day and date games that you can just play until you get the chance to play Red Dead 2. So it's, again, coming October 26th, 2018.
Yeah, I think you're on point here. I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about here. I think you covered all the bases. But if you followed Rockstar for quite some time, they kind of always do that initial announcement saying like, hey, this game is coming out Q2 or Q3. And then I think, pretty much always been a delay, but then the delay gives you a date. And I think Rockstar is very careful about, hey, when we say it's coming on a date, that this is when it's going to happen, and it wouldn't get pushed back again, I wouldn't think. So I'm with you. I'm pretty confident it's coming out this year, which may or may not throw a big monkey wrench in a lot of developers' plans right now. I don't think they were expecting it. So
I bet you the EA is super glad they delayed Anthem now, even though they didn't officially delay it. That I bet you they're like, whew, all right, spring 2019 is looking pretty good.
That's true. That's a very fair point. So, Kyle, while you have the mic, why don't you tell us what you have for news this week?
Yeah, so speaking of EA, there was just a little story today that I found on GameIndustry.biz that I thought was really interesting, and I'm not going to go into the whole article. It's pretty short, and it's very abbreviated, and obviously is not taking everything into consideration. But the title of the article is The Myth of Meritocracy. 10 years ago this month, EA learns a costly lesson about striving for excellence, and Take-Two tells it to take a hike. So basically what they do is they kind of go back and they look back, what was the big news in gaming 10 years ago, kind of what was going on there. And basically what this article posits to a degree, and like I said, there's a lot of other things going on here, that their previous CEO, John Riccitiello, was very, very focused on the quality of the games that EA was releasing. And during his time there as CEO, they released 15 games that have that still have a Metascore of 90 or higher today. After he left in 2013, and the reason he left is because stock prices for EA's had diminished significantly, down to almost to a low of about $19 when he finally left. And he left, and new folks came on board and said, "Look, it's not just about making good games. We gotta make money too." And yesterday, EA stocks closed at a record high of $126.96. However, since John Riccitiello left, none of their games have maintained a 90 or higher on Metacritic. So it comes to then it kind of becomes a question of, okay, so you hear about developers getting bonuses for games that get 90 and all these other things. Like, how much in the business side of games does Metacritic really matter? So it's a really kind of interesting article that breaks it down. Now, granted, economics have changed drastically from when John Riccitiello was the CEO, from when he started to when he ended to today. The economics of the world are not the same, and correlation is not causation. It's not saying that because they're doing games that aren't as good, they're making more money. But it's just an interesting to look at of how often were games delayed? Was the focus more on quality there? Whereas now, you're looking at, EA talking more about loot boxes and all these other things, and the focus is on profit. What difference does that make as far as the quality of the games that they're releasing? So, like I said, I'm not saying it's this, that, or the other thing, or that one necessarily means the other, but it is an interesting thing to kind of take a read at, take a look at, and kind of dive into if you are interested in the business of games and how games work.
Yeah, it definitely was a good read. I'm glad you shared that earlier today in our Discord, and I read it through, and I was like, that's a take on something gaming related you normally don't see. They don't normally cover those types of stories, so it's definitely an interesting read for sure. And I'm with you. I don't know if it's a direct correlation, but they certainly make a good case for it at least. So our last quote-unquote story is it's that time of month, everybody. So games with gold and PlayStation Plus titles were announced for February. Xbox owners can get Shadow Warrior on Xbox One, as well as Assassin's Creed Chronicles India. And because Xbox One is super awesome and they allow their Xbox 360 titles that go on games with gold as backwards compatibility, you're also getting Split Second and one of my personal favorites from the olden days, Crazy Taxi.
Crazy Taxi.
One of my favorite video game soundtrack of all time.
Right, but this doesn't have that soundtrack.
What?
I'm pretty certain there's no Offspring in this. So then is it really Crazy Taxi?
No, it's not.
So I mean, still a fun game, but man, that game and like the Offspring are like synonymous for me. So it's, I'm pretty certain though that because of rights things that the soundtrack is different.
No. Never mind. Xbox loses it all. Anyway, Split Second isn't that bad though. Too. Side note: I played that back on PS3, and that was very much like Burnout. I think if I recall, like it had a lot of those like slow down when you come near collisions and stuff like that happen there too. So that was a pretty fun game.
Hey, side note before you go into the other side of things, completely unrelated, but again, 2 months I've not been here.
Yeah,
EA
pineapple and
Access.
mangoes, we know.
EA Access with the Xbox original backwards compatibility even added a game in there to their vault. So if you have EA Access, you have access to another game from the original Xbox days, and that's Black. I don't remember if you guys remember that game from the PS2 Xbox era. If you think of the cover, it's like bullet shells and bullet casings and this like big gun on it.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite games from my PS2. I love Black.
Yeah, I mean, it was really ahead of its time as far as like the graphics and everything go. But I just wanted to bring out that there's, with the backwards compatibility for original stuff and EA kind of still being on board with bringing, 360 content as well as Xbox One and now original Xbox, there's a lot of possibilities that could be coming for EA Access. But anyway,
That's true.
I know that's not really related to the games with gold or anything, but I want to make sure that the people, because I'm the voice for the people, Kevin, that they knew.
I want to make a correction there. Nathan is the voice for the Xbox people.
For the Empire.
There it is. Can't have an episode without the Emperor showing up. So on the PlayStation side, if you have a PS4, you're getting Knack, which has been rumored to be like coming every single month for like the last year and a half straight.
Is Knack even a good game?
All right, so Kyle and I are kind of apologists for Knack. It is a good game.
It's fine.
Right.
It's not the Rome of PlayStation.
I think it is. Yes, I think it's like Rise Son of Rome. But yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not going to change it doesn't change the game as far as like platformers are concerned, but it's fun. Like I like the mechanics of it. It's fun. It's the story is the story.
What is the story? Like what's the premise?
There's goblins and stuff.
All right, so you're Knack, who is an ancient bunch of blocks basically that's possessed, I guess you could say, and he's like alive, but he can also unite with these other versions of these blocks, kind of build himself up to be really large or really, really small to get you through the different scenarios. I haven't played Knack 2 yet, so I can't speak to anything that happened there, but yeah, it's basically like an adventure power struggle, people trying to use those powers that Knack basically contains for their own purposes, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. But yeah, it's very much in the same vein as like Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter. It's just like a platform with certain mechanics there. The fighting, the combat's okay. I think just the coolest thing is when you get to be like giant Knack and you're the same size as buildings. Those were like my favorite stages from the first one, at least. But it's certainly worth playing. Don't get me wrong. And I bought the first one. I had a big discount, but I still bought it, and I will eventually get around to Knack 2 once I get through some of this backlog stuff I have. But
sorry, I thought you were talking about what the story was about. You're Knack, and you're trying to protect the world from a goblin army. That's pretty much the story.
Yeah, pretty much. You also get Rhyme on PS4. Starblood Arena is still free on PSVR. I think it's been that way for a couple months now. If you're still rocking a PS3, you can get Spelunker HD and Mugen Souls Z or Mugen Souls Z. And if you still have a Vita, you can play Exile's End and Grand Kingdom, which is also backwards compatible or forwards compatible on PS4.
Crossbuy. That's what they call it.
That's what they call it. Hung up on these Xbox names. But yeah, so it's not as strong a month I think as last month, but they're still doing pretty well, I think, overall, as far as their quote unquote free game offerings.
Isn't it called Rime?
I've only heard it referred to as Rhyme.
Yeah, really? I've only ever heard it called Rhyme.
All right. I for some reason I thought I've heard it called Rime before or something like that, so I didn't know.
That's somebody trying to make it sound fancier. Like when people say Target instead of Target, that's one of those people.
Funny enough, I think it was at Target that I heard that. So there we go.
You mean Target?
Oh, sorry, my bad. Target.
So yeah, I mean that's it for us for this week, boys and girls. So thank you for listening. But before we go,
mention, by the way, going way back to our what you've been playing, I have also been playing this new game on PC. I don't know if you can see the case here. TurboTax Deluxe, ladies and gentlemen. It was a quick play. It's TurboTax.
It's not worth the $60, though, right? For as far as gameplay.
I mean, there's no replayability.
That's true.
You
just make a few changes. Got to buy the new one every year.
You think that there's multiple choices, and the outcomes are going to be vastly different each time. But every choice that you make, it's never going to be as good as you want it to be.
It's the Madden of tax software. Just every year, it's the same thing. Slight changes. Sorry, Coach Mo. I had to do that because you dig at Zelda every OT. So that's my dig back. But we love you, brother. All right. So before we go, guys, is there anything you'd like to plug? Nathan, let's go to you first. As he coughs,
go to your doctor. Make sure you're not dying and sick. Like if you have a cough, like go get it checked out. This is a PSA. I've been sick for like a month, and I have already gone through the regimen of pills, and I still have a cough. But go see your doctor. Don't die. I just put out an episode of That's Entertaining yesterday. We recorded and posted it to hit our January deadline. Delvin Cox joined me, and we talked about Black Lightning, the first couple episodes of that. Spoiler free review, kind of in not interpretation, but impressions of Black Lightning on CW. So if you're curious about that at all, come over, check it out. We talked about that. It was a good time over there. You can find me on Twitter at Voiced by Nathan. And I mean,
what's February is going to be? Sneak preview.
If I told you, I'm going to have to kill you. Actually, no, I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to tell you. It's Black Panther for sure.
And see, this works out great. So the running gag too, if you follow Flex to Pose, we brought it up here on PSVG a few times. Josh, our own Josh Bones, must be a huge fan of That's Entertaining for this month and next month, then, because we all know Josh loves a great black exploitation film. So there's two of those back to back, especially with Black Lightning.
Does he also enjoy the game Black on Xbox? I
don't know. We'll have to ask him.
Josh
tweeted us.
Josh doesn't listen to the show. You know that, right?
No, he doesn't. Yeah.
He pretends to be like, oh yeah, I listen to other shows, but really he's just all about bored with VG right now.
Yes, he listens to his own show on repeat until the new episode comes out, actually.
I think that's where he's getting his ratings from, is he just puts it on repeat.
Just re-downloads the episode every time. Delete, re-download. Oh, it's me again.
And Donnie's like, man, all these downloads. And then you just correlate it with the IP address and the actual location. You're like, wait a second.
Coming from Worcester, Massachusetts. So I don't think you were able to give your Twitter before we start talking about Josh. So.
At Voiced by Nathan's my Twitter. There you go. You can find me there. And I promise that I'm not usually this crazy.
But look forward to our new food podcast coming out next week. No,
dude, I mean, I'm serious. We this is a thing we could talk about. There's a show on the cooking channel called The Best Thing I Ever Ate. I think we could tailor that to the best thing I ever ate while playing video games.
Well, we have some friends we could tap into. So
I'm saying, I mean, you know what to do.
Yeah, that's true. Fair enough. All right, so look for that in the podcast feed. We're gonna have to put up 2 shows a day on every single on our podcast feed. So, Kyle, once again, save us, sir. Where can people find you and anything else you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, so speaking of shows that are on our podcast feed, the aforementioned Josh Bones and I do Board with Video Games once a week. Post every Thursday morning, where we talk about board games and video games and all the things that we play on the table and the television. So please check that out and follow us on social media at Board with VG. You can find me specifically on the social medias, PSN, Xbox Live, Board Game Geek. It's all at Psychocross, CYCOCROSS. So come say hello, play games with us, post pictures of the games you're playing with us. It's a lot of fun. Really appreciate it. Kevin, where can people find you, sir?
People can find me at PSVG Kevin on Twitter or on the PlayStation Network at COTCH1212. You can come play Overwatch with me if you'd like. That's my new thing now. I just turn on the PS4, look and see if people are playing Overwatch. If they are, I jump into that. If not, I'm playing some Metal Gear Solid. So it's all good. Thank you, everybody, to listening to at least some of our shows on the podcast network, if you can keep up with it. But I do know our buddy, for example, Paul Calico over there, he looks forward to it every day, actually. He almost called this out because he didn't get a new episode in his feed. But then he's like, let me double check. And then sure enough, boop, every day something new's in his podcast feed.
Just thinking about that, podcasts every day. I've been on, obviously, PSVG OT, Early Morning Gamer. You know, I've never been on.
Bored with video games?
Yeah.
You just said you don't play video games. You don't play.
Said you don't play board games.
I don't think those guys like me over there, but it's bored with video games. So I mean, it's
true.
It's a little one-sided.
You can be on half an episode when they talk about just games.
Jason, if it makes you feel any better, no one has been on it except for Josh and myself, and I have to like push Josh to like be done with the board game talk to get to video games.
That's
every
true.
week. I'm like, all right, so that's 3/4 of the show gone. Hey, let's talk a little bit about video games, and that's pretty much the way.
He's like, no, #butts. We're gonna keep talking
exactly.
So thank you everybody for listening. We do ask that this year for 2018, we'd like if you tell a friend, even if there's just one show you can connect with on the network that they might be interested in, whether they're a board game fan or a Nintendo hardcore fan, or if they want to hear some great stories and life experiences on Coach Mo's PSVG OT, just simply tell a friend to come check us out. We appreciate you guys listening, but more importantly, more than everything else.
But wait, there's more. They could tell a friend, sure, but it's even better when you tell strangers.
Ooh, I like that. Yes, tell a stranger and give them no context. Just run around, run up and down your street.
Go to
Target.
I love
play some video games.
But no, seriously, I was trying to lead into so if you listen on iPhones, they've updated the iOS recently, and the podcast app has been updated on there. So if you're listening on there, it's really easy to rate the shows.
Oh, okay.
On iTunes these days. It's built into the app because it used to be convoluted. You had to actually go to a computer and do it, but you can actually do it from the app now. Like you look at the show, you scroll down a little bit, you can rate it and write a review. By doing that, it actually, if this is a show that you like, if you do that rating, it actually drives up the visibility of the show for other people that are looking for like-minded shows. So if you do leave a review, even if it's just the star rating, just take 2 seconds and leave like whatever you want to leave. It'll drive up that visibility. So that's one way to get the word out there, by telling complete strangers without actually having to talk to somebody. Isn't it the best?
That's true, because the last thing anybody wants to do nowadays is actually have to talk to somebody.
Yeah, why are we talking, by the way? Never mind.
I don't know.
Come on.
But no, yes, that's a great idea. So thank you, Nathan, for bringing that up there. Because if you recall, we were once a new and noteworthy podcast on
now we're
on
old
iTunes.
and rusted.
Yes, we're yeah. We want to be
Seriously,
the new
dude, there's an old and forgotten. We're right there, like headlining it.
It's like us, car talk. Wait, don't tell me. Welcome to Night Vale. Those are all the once popular but now forgotten podcasts. But more importantly than any of that stuff, more importantly than chicken wings with the bone in,
or barbecue pizza, barbecue chicken.
No,
pizza.
it's not. No, I don't think it's more important than barbecue pizza.
Oh, this is true.
That's
gotcha.
True. But either way,
same page now.
But either way, never stop gaming.